We're going to go over some cruise terms, and especially for new cruisers, you're not going to be familiar with these. So we want to let you know what they are before you step foot on your very first cruise. You're going to sound like an expert before you even go on your first cruise.
Yes. So let's start out with the bow or the forward. This is the front of the ship, just literally the front.
The next is stern or aft. That's the back of the ship. So you're going to hear, for the most part, you're going to hear forward and aft. And these are navigational terms when you're on the ship. This is going to help you navigate your way around the ship. For example, the dining room is on deck 4 aft. That lets you know that it's on deck 4, but it's in the back of the ship. It's in the rear of the ship.
Yes, the next term is port, which is the left side of the ship. P-O-R-T, 4 letters, left, same thing. And the right side of the ship is called starboard.
Next is midship. This is sort of self-explanatory. It's when you're in the middle of the ship. Lines. These are what is used to secure the ship in dock. They're not called ropes. They are lines.
And the next thing is stabilizers, which are like wings that come out and they're very big. That helps the ship stabilize so that when you're going in rougher seas, that the ship doesn't rock the motion back and forth. And it really, really helps a lot.
And that's good. If you're a new cruiser and you're not sure if you're going to have motion sickness, having the stabilizers will help with that. And it should cut down on the motion. And hopefully you will not experience any kind of seasickness.
And my biggest pet peeve is it's a ship, not a boat. A boat can fit into a ship, but a ship cannot fit into a boat. So when you hear people talking around you saying boat, 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 you know they're not experienced. Well, they shouldn't be, but you know that they do not understand the terminology of what's going on.
Now we're going to move on to how the ship actually moves. And where do they do that? They do that in the bridge. And that's where all of the next is the bridge. And that is where the captain steers the ship from. It's also called the helm. And that's where the steering is located, all of the engines, starting the engines, all of that. It's the bridge or the helm.
A knot is the speed of the ship. So a knot is a nautical mile, is equal to 1.15 miles per hour. So if you, for an example, if you're running 20 knots at the speed, it's 23 miles an hour on land. So that's how they do it. It's just been that way forever. So they just kept it.
And the wake. So you're going to hear this if people are in the aft of the ship. It's the trail of water that's created from the ship as it moves forward.
And the next one is galley. There are many galleys on these big cruise ships. They feed a lot of people every day. You got to remember, if you've got 6,000 people on this ship, you've got at least 3 meals a day plus the crew. So you're probably talking about 8,000 times 3 is the amount of meals. So then some of the specialty restaurants have their own galleys.
The next is the Lido deck. So this is a fancy name for the pool deck. They don't use the Lido deck really that much anymore. They say pool deck. Occasionally you'll hear Lido deck, but I think it's a fun term.
And the next thing is the promenade deck, which is usually located on deck 5 and sometimes has an outdoor area. And many times on the newer ships, it's the central hub of where people go at night. There's restaurants there, there's shops, there's all kinds of things to go there. But that's what it is. The promenade deck, you'll hear people talk about that a lot.
You do hear people use promenade deck, and it's a lot of times when you embark the ship, you will walk onto the promenade deck. Or another term, depending on the type of ship and the design, they may also call it an atrium. So some ships have like a central location and they call that the atrium. So it's interchangeable with the promenade deck, but that's usually going to be your central hub. And that's also a good way. If you ever get lost, get yourself back to that deck, that central hub area, and then navigate where you need to go, because that's usually the departure port or embarkation port. That refers to the port that your ship is going to leave from, and it will usually end in the same location. So when you disembark the ship, you're usually coming back to the same port. There are ships that will do one way, and that's usually transatlantic, transpacific, or repositioning cruises.
Gangway, the ramp that connects the port to the ship. Pirate ships have a gangplank. Cruise ships have a gangway.
And then these are two terms. I'm going to use them a little bit interchangeable. It's your muster station and the muster drill. So the muster station is the actual location that you need to report to in the event of an emergency. The muster drill is something that takes place before the ship can leave port on the first day of your sailing. So a lot of ships now, they're doing the muster drills a little bit different than in years past. And this actually changed when COVID hit and ships started sailing again. It had to do with some of the social distancing, but it's been very effective. So a lot of the ships have kept it. And what it is you have to report to this particular station on the first day of your cruise. And it's usually about an hour before, at the latest, you would have to report and check into this muster station so that they know you've watched the safety drill and that you know where to go in the event of an emergency. The muster station will be printed on your CPAS card that you get when you check in. Or if you are on a ship that uses the medallions or the bracelets, on the back of your door in the cabin will be your muster station. Just a word to the wise, always make it a priority to know where you need to go. You never know what's going to happen. And if there is an emergency, you always want to be able to find that muster station.
The lifeboat and tender. The lifeboat is a small boat that hangs on the side of the ship. There has to be a seat for everyone on the ship in a lifeboat. The Royal the other day had a problem. One of the lifeboats were broken. 200 people could not go on the cruise, so they just canceled 200 people's cruises so that the ship could sail. But that's how many people are on a lifeboat. And it's also called a tender. If you're going to be anchored out in a port that they can't dock in, they are going to tender you back and forth to the port. And so it also can be called, at that point, it's not a lifeboat, it's just a tender.
So now we're going to go over some fun crew terms. And this one needs no introduction, and it's the captain. The captain is the captain of the ship, and he is the final word. So if there is something that is an event that's happening on the ship that is escalating, they may take it and escalate it all the way up to the captain. And what he decides or she decides, that's it. That's the final word. So an example, someone was, let's just say somebody was smoking on the balcony and they got caught. They may escalate that to the captain if need be. And if the captain decides that you're off the ship because you violated policy, then they're going to disembark you at the next port. So just remember that the captain is the final word.
And on one of our cruises, one of the young guys that was there really got drunk. I mean, really got drunk. got sick all over the stairs when he got back in from his tour. And the captain said, "You're not drinking the rest of the cruise. You could stay on board, but you're not allowed to drink for the rest of the cruise." So that's how much he has.
Right. And the captain is always has to think about everything. Navigating the ship, weather, conditions in, countries that the ship is going to dock in, the safety of the passengers, the safety of the crew. So there's a lot of responsibility on a captain. And that's why they always have that final say.
Cruise director is the cruise director. They run everything. They're all over the place. They do sail away. They do contests. They do belly flop contests. I don't know how they even.
I don't think
work.
they sleep. Cruise directors have the most energy of anybody on the ship. I don't think that they sleep. They usually do like a little morning report that you can see on your television. They'll tell you what events are going on for the day. They're always out and about meeting people, the staff that work under them, same thing. They're like Energizer bunnies. They know how to get passengers involved and really make your trip a lot of fun. So definitely make it a point to at least get to know who your cruise director is, because they're going to make your cruise a lot more fun.
The cabin steward is the person who takes care of your room. They're going to, once a day, they'll come in, clean up for you, make your bed. But we have only had one cabin steward out of 20 cruises that we had a problem with. And that's pretty good. And
they're always willing to help you out. Most of them will introduce themselves the first day. A lot of them have cards so that you know what their name is. You have an extension that you can reach them at. They're always willing to do a little bit extra for you. If you need ice, if you need extra towels, if there's anything specific, in your room, if there's a specific time that you want your room cleaned. I mean, they usually give us a choice. They'll ask us, do we want our room cleaned, very early in the morning or a little bit later? And we always choose a little bit later because we like to sleep in the morning.
And that the maitre d' in every restaurant on the ship, there's a maitre d'. So
Yes.
Even especially restaurants, the main dining room, everybody has their own maitre d'.
And that goes into your dining staff. You'll have a waiter and usually an assistant waiter. So in the main dining room, depending on what type of seating you have, early, late, or if it's a my time dining, if you have a set time dining, you're going to have the same waiter and assistant waiter every single night of your cruise. They're going to get to know you by name. They will have things prepared for you. If they know that you like a particular wine, they'll have it ready for you. Or if there's a particular drink that you drink, they'll have it ready for you when you come to dinner. And they always make things more enjoyable. If they know any allergies, they'll make sure that, you don't have any food that's served with anything that you're allergic to. If they know that you like something, a lot of times, they may bring you a little bit extra. They're really, really good. The two areas or the two staff that I think you really need to get to know, and they're probably the hardest working on the ship, is your cabin steward and your dining staff.
And the last one is the purser. It's the onboard billing. They also call it
Guest services.
So it's just a C term for that. But the one thing is, remember, it's a ship, not a boat. And if you take that out of here, that'll make everybody's life a lot easier, especially mine. Anyway.
Right. Okay. It's okay. It's a ship.
I know.
So we know we've missed some terms. We haven't included everything. So please, in the comments, if there's any terms that you would like us to talk about, add them in the comments or add them below so that new cruisers can get to know all the terms of a ship, and they can be an expert sailor just like all of us. Please like and subscribe. We're a new channel. We're young. We're just starting out, and we're really trying to grow. We want to bring information to people that love cruising and people that are new to cruising. We want everybody to experience the fun and the joy that we get from cruising.
Cat and Mike, the ship set sail on a journey that'll never fail.